The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters Plotcast Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 22. I'm Julia.
And I'm Elaine.
Hello, Elaine.
Hello.
All right.
Yeah, you?
Yeah, now, today we're talking about some of our favourite things, flowers, with one of our favourite people, Tina Green.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Tina Green!
Oh, right.
Better hope she doesn't hear that.
No.
She won't be listening
Yeah.
anyway. You know what she's like. She's too busy talking. She's worse than us.
She is. First person I've ever met who talks more than you.
There you go then.
Anyway, you put Tina Green and then you put about soil and flies. That's nothing to do with Tina Green though, is it? Soil and flies.
Turn your phone off, Julia?
Me? Oh, sorry, I do apologise. Yeah. Anyway, Tina Green, soil and flies, my melons, and lots of other things.
Yeah, because I think we need to sort all of those out in that probably order. I don't mind if we put Tina down to the bottom of the list or whatever, but I think we can talk about all of them.
Yeah, all right then.
Okay.
All right then. So how do people get in contact with us if they want to tell us anything?
Oh, so you're looking at me, sorry.
Yeah,
We weren't actually looking at me, you were looking at Elaine, which is why I thought you were throwing to her.
No, I don't do that.
Oh,
No.
okay. So if you'd like to message us on social media, you can via Facebook, Instagram or Twitter at Potty Plotters. You can go to TikTok at The Potty Plotters. You can email us naughtycorner at pottyplotters.uk or check out the website pottyplotters.uk. And if you'd like to support us to keep us producing the Plotcast and keep us in cake and stuff like that, then you can go to kofi.com/thepottyplotters. That's ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters and leave us a tip of monetary value.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, someone has been in contact with us, haven't they, Elaine?
They have.
We've had a message from Phil, salon business coach, a.k.a. King Phil.
Is that official?
Well, obviously.
Well, he said that he thought that this might make him famous, so I said, we'll add a little bit more on then. So that's
Okay.
why I've called him that, King Phil.
Oh,
King-
doesn't he call himself King Phil?
No, I do.
Okay, all right.
Okay, that's good that you've been appointed this position where you can crown people.
Well, obviously, I'm going to be Minister for Allotment,
yes,
so
yeah.
it'll probably be within my remit to anoint people and appoint people.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll have him
Okay.
as a king.
Have you axed the other one? Or
Who?
the real king? Or is he reigning together?
Well, we like him because he
different
likes
jobs.
flowers and plants
And
everything.
horses.
Yeah. Anyway, so King Phil from Pewsey, is that how you say
Yeah.
it? In the middle of Wiltshire. Thanks for a lovely podcast. I'm a new plotter and I really enjoyed you coaching me through my first couple of months. That's nice. A quick question, if I may. I'm now realising we get some fairly strong winds across the site. Everything has done okay except my climbing French beans, which gave up and decided not to bother. Is there anything else you'd advise against growing in an exposed position?
Right, well, I would say, King Phil, not to give up on the French beans. I think it's just that we've had a particularly bad year. Not that we're going to moan about it, but it has been. So you're well within your time to start all over again. And what I would do is reset and regroup. So get your cell trays back out again, get some multi-purpose compost and set them, and definitely put more in. Because although they're not happy in the wind, I'm quite sure that everything will calm down and warm up very
Yes.
shortly.
Don't beans
So
create
give that
wind?
another. Pardon?
Don't beans create winds?
We do with Julia, but I won't going to mention it.
Anyway, yes.
So that was that. I was going to do that. And I was also going to say, why don't you try some runner beans as well?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's just the weather this year, and although they don't like wind, we don't normally have it this bad, even if it's an exposed site. Normally the summer months are a little bit tamer, aren't they? So the other alternative is, rather than growing a climbing French bean, you could go for a dwarf French bean. And things that don't like really windy sites, what I would say is when you're looking at doing something like brassicas, so your sprouts and your cauliflowers, go for something that is a shorter variety.
Yeah.
So that you've not got to, I mean, you naturally have to stake them probably anyway, and you normally mound up around the stem of the plant, but the obviously the taller the plant, the more susceptible they are to a wind rock.
They are. I mean, to be quite honest, Julia, I don't think we give enough credit to what is written on the front and backs of packets,
No.
and certainly in the magazines when, you know, you're looking at buying your seeds for the year. Because I remember the time that you did the Brussels sprouts, and they were a short variety. They were about 18 inches to 2 foot, and I tell you what, they were the best you ever grew.
Yeah.
They never got rocked because they weren't so high as to needing staking.
Yeah.
They were brilliant. You've done it as well with cauliflowers.
Yeah.
And definitely the same with French beans. If
Yeah.
you crowd things together, they support one another.
Yeah.
That's another thing. But to me, I just think perhaps we ought to look more closely at what is written on the backs of packets for people.
Yeah, and also perhaps think about, as you're quite a new plotter, think about maybe creating something that would almost create a wind
barrier.
block.
Yeah.
So maybe plant some espalier trees or something like that would just break that wind down a little bit.
Yeah, could do, and certainly grow more roots, definitely, more beetroot, parsnips, etc. And of course they don't need any support and they are in the ground. So yeah, just give that a go and let us know how you get on with it, King Phil.
And Angela Jane Griffin said she's not watching the football because she'd much rather be in the garden and listening to the plotcast, the birds, and watching the dogs stalk pigeons on next door's shed roof.
That's like a new game, isn't it,
Yeah.
really? And it's not a bad thing, but
No.
What do you get? What do you win?
a dead pigeon, I suppose.
Lovely.
No, not that I want it, but
No.
yeah, it is.
Fricassee?
It's interesting though to watch what happens, but it is rather nice, isn't it, to get some of your own space and your own time.
yeah.
I get out more actually when the football's on, and let me say, it's on all the time.
So you
Which is
never
at the minute,
out, are you?
There's 3 matches a day at the minute,
Yeah.
so
Blimey.
you must be out
Great.
all day.
Yes, I am actually, Gareth. It's fair to say we are.
Yeah,
We're always
yeah.
up here.
So, I mean, you mentioned the weather, and we've
Yes.
had a statement
Yes.
from the Met Office of all
Have we?
people. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So,
What was it directed to us?
no, I found it somewhere.
Oh right,
It's on their
okay.
website,
It's
I
a
think.
different,
It's
different
different,
but-
altogether, isn't it?
I mean, they should be addressing us personally and
Yeah.
apologising for all this bad
Yeah.
weather we've had, yeah.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we are recording this about 10 days in advance of where we are now, and it's probably raining when people are listening to this, but the Met Office have issued a statement saying the weather's going to get better. Temperatures are approaching the values needed for heatwave conditions. So, their definition, heatwave conditions need to remain in situ for 3 consecutive days, and by the middle of next week, so probably around the time when this podcast is due to go out, it's possible some of the UK could be reaching heatwave thresholds. Hallelujah.
That'd be lovely. Shall we get the gin and some ice cubes in, Elaine?
No, because I don't believe it.
No, you
She'll
don't
believe it when
believe
she-
you don't believe a
No.
word they say, do
No.
you?
She'll believe it when she
No.
sees it. That's the weather dealt with. If only we knew a weather person who could stand here doing like all the pointy stuff at the
No,
weather.
I don't think she don't believe them. She don't believe them, no.
I mean, you go back years ago, and we never had all of that, did we, on the
No,
telly?
no.
And now
No, we had
it's
magnetic
everywhere.
symbols,
Yeah,
and they used to
that's
fall
more
off.
Scudcho. But now you don't need it. I just think that you go with your gut instinct and you
Yeah.
look up.
And it
look
looks
there.
all right, doesn't
You
it?
see, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
More of that.
Yeah.
Looking up instead of looking down at what's in your hand.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
Right. So, first topic we've got listed are my melons.
Yes.
Yes.
Go for it.
Well, I just wanted it listing because obviously the melons have got going in the polytunnel and I've got one developing, Elaine.
When was that?
When did it develop?
Yeah.
Earlier, probably back end of last week it started.
So has
to,
it started to warm up?
Yes, it started to warm up. I think the pollinators have got a little bit more active because I have noticed there's been quite a struggle to get things germinated and also get things pollinated. And no more than us, the pollinators have not enjoyed the weather, and now they have, and they've been in and pollinated my melons, and they are starting to grow. So if anyone hasn't grown melons before, what we want to say is they are very easy to grow. They are just like growing a cucumber, same conditions, and also they need support to grow. But although I have heard people who have allowed them to grow on the floor, and that's fine, but again I would just be a little bit cautious in lifting them off the floor as they are starting starting to develop, because you don't want any rotting or anything like that. But yeah, so they are starting to grow, and just like the cucumbers, I'll be giving them a regular feed now and watering them.
Is that every week?
I'll be giving them a feed every week. I'll make sure that they always stay moist, because of course they need that moisture to swell and develop. And what I do, I mean, people get hung up, and I used to get really hung up about pinching it out after the 5th set of leaves and then when they develop. And what I'll say is, don't get yourself stressed about it. Don't stress about it. If you don't pinch it out at the right place, you'll still get melons. And but what I do is, where they are on a run or a stem, when one has set, I actually nip the end of that stem off, and it just forces the energy back into the melon that is on that stem, and they develop. So don't get hung up about it, just give it a go.
Oh, it's a bit like Steve, actually, we can talk about, because he's not here, though he did poke his head around the corner a few minutes ago.
I think he was opening the kettle.
Well, he'll have to wait a mo. But I remember last year he grew melons and he didn't pinch anything out, because like a lot of people, they don't pinch the sides out of their tomatoes, and he just let them run riot. And I tell you what, nothing seemed to go wrong. Are you referring to anybody in particular there? No, Gareth, if the cap fits, wear it. That's what I would say. Yeah. But that was cap, not cat. Don't put the cat on your head. That's not good.
That's Davy Crockett.
Yeah. So all I would say is that we can worry about things that you don't need to worry about, and that's good advice, isn't it? Just give it a go.
Just give it a go.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Now you've put breaking down rock hard soil.
Well, I've noticed that's what's happened up here, Julia, is we've had so much water. The blooming soil, honestly, it's rock hard. Now, when it was damp and wet, it was so heavy. I got my fork in it and I was trying to chop it up and break it down, and particularly one patch that is near my water well, and it's solid. So what I've done is I've dug it over, and now I can say it's like chuffing concrete.
So how are you going to break that down?
Well,
then?
I'm asking you, Julia, how would I break it down?
Well, you could get your spade out and chop through it, or smash it up with your fork. I mean, what I have done in the past is actually use the heel of my boot and kind of just keep smashing it down and breaking it down.
I think that's the best way to do it. And although you're treading on the soil, I think that has gone now. Forget about worrying about your soil and breaking it. Just go for it.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be the best way. But I know a lot of people will have the same problem in their gardens too. Yeah. So if you have got that problem, keep on hoeing. I was doing that the other day, hoeing for all I was worth. And when you get down a few inches, actually, it is still quite damp. Yeah. So smash it and then break it all up. I was on my hands and knees as well, literally on my hands and knees, breaking it up with my hands.
Crikey.
Got a little a little trowel as well, and smashing it. So doing a little bit at a time is the answer.
Should we all come and have a little dance on it for you and smash it up? Do you think that would help?
Got time. Yeah, we could have done that, couldn't we, with Tina? She'd have done that. Yeah. She'd have smashed it up. She'd have been lying in it up to her neck. But that's all I would say at the moment. So there's no need to panic. Don't go and get a load of sand. We don't need that yet. And don't start putting muck on, because although our muck is well rotted, we don't need that on there because of what I'm going to be planted, which I'm hoping to put some more beetroot and carrots in there. So don't want to.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
If you'd like to support the podcast, you can leave us a tip at ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters. That's ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters. And we'll love you forever.
So I'm speeding my way through this, Elaine, because I know that we're talking to Tina later, and I know she's got a lot to say, and we've got a lot to say to her. So, white fly and black fly, how to deal with them. Now, I was commenting the other day that the cooler conditions and the wet conditions have meant that we've had a lack of black fly and white fly and green fly. However, now the weather has started to improve, I've noticed they've started to emerge. So how should we be dealing with them?
Well, what I do, which is peculiar to a lot of people, but I get what's called Rose Clear. Now, Rose Clear is a spray, and it's about £6 or £7, and I buy it, and I buy it because I love the smell of it. It's a lemon smell. I don't know what's in it, I've no idea, but I'm hoping there's a lot of lemon. And honestly, it is absolutely lovely. Now, what I do is I use it on white fly and green fly, but I use it in particular on well, I was going to say on any broad beans. I don't need to because I've taken all my broad beans out of the meal barrows. They have all gone into the freezer, all sorted, and I've cut them down like I told you, I think it was last week, where you just chop them down to about 8 inches so that it can start to grow again. But last Monday or Tuesday, I went to help Kev with his giant broad beans,
yes.
and he'd actually got black fly on the top of them.
In the polytunnel?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, first time ever, he said. I don't know if it's true or not. But all I will say is if you've got black fly on your broad beans, take the tips out and go down. I know we've said it before, but go down 3 or 4 inches. It sounds cruel, but you won't grow any beans on there anyway. So take them out.
Yeah.
When it comes to white fly, I know that you use the yellow stickers.
Yes, well, the yellow sticky sheets of paper, yeah. Oh, can you remember the other year we did a little experiment, didn't we? But, I use the little fly traps, really. And also now, at this year, of course, I've bought all my ladybirds and they're very busy and they're doing an excellent job. So what I do try to do is relocate them to any particular problems that I've got. But I've not seen any because of those lovely ladybirds that I've got flying around. In terms of the black fly on the broad beans, I have to say I'm a bit of a devil for squishing myself. I'm not squishing myself. I'm squishing the black fly.
Yeah.
And then obviously pinching the tips out. So that's the way that I deal with them.
Well, I've got them as well on my dahlias.
Oh.
Now, I've got them, and I'm not surprised actually, and they've only just started, so I've probably got 3 or 4 flower stems that have got them. Now, although there are ladybirds, I've used rose clear because rose clear, as long as you don't spray in the sun and you only use them intermittently, you will get rid of them. And that's what I've done already with mine. But what you don't want is an infestation, because once you've got that, they will desecrate your dahlias and you won't get any flowers. So do that.
We can't have that, can we? Especially when we've got Tina coming.
And have you got any whitefly on your tomatoes?
No. Have you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want some of my ladybirds?
No, thanks. No. So what would you do with those then, Julia?
What, whitefly?
Yeah.
Well, I've planted around my tomatoes. I've planted marigolds underneath. I've also planted some basil around the tomatoes, and it seems to be doing the trick, like I say, as well as the ladybirds.
And that works actually, doesn't it? The other thing is that it might well be because I've not kept enough air through there. So what I've done today is I've opened the door, I've put some slots in so that can stay open now, and also the windows, and that should get rid of them too.
Well done.
Hints and tips for shortcuts to success. The Potty Plotters Plotcast.
Now then, I'm going to talk to you about something that I've been using that I've always looked at in the magazines and thought, does it do what it says it does? Is it worth buying? It's a little bit expensive.
You see, for me, Julia, I think when you see things in magazines or you see it on the internet and all that malarkey, it doesn't inspire me until we've tested.
Yes.
When we've tested it, and then we can talk about it, we know with positive results.
Yeah.
So tell everybody about it.
So I've seen strultch advertised.
How do you spell that?
strulch.
It wasn't a test, I promise you. It was just so that if people mishear what you're saying, and it's a cross between straw and mulch.
Yes, that's right.
I think that's quite clever.
Yeah.
Right then, let's start on strultch then.
So, like I say, it's something that I've seen advertised, and actually I was looking at it as more of a weed suppressant than anything else. Now, it's something that you have to order really online, and there is a website where you can look at it and see which local nurseries sell it, and the local nursery to us was about 20 miles away. So I thought, right, I'm going to order it online. It was about £14 a bag, and the bags are quite big. Now,
when you say quite big, is that like a pound of sweets? Because they're quite big.
That is a big bag.
Well, hang on a minute. Is it 100? What does it say on the bag?
9 kilograms when
9
packed.
kilograms. Oh yeah, it's at the bottom, right at the bottom. 9 kilogram bag. It's actually very light to use.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's the one. Yeah, by Strultch, yes. It's very light to use. But like I say, I bought it to put around the flowers that I'm growing, and without kind of naming names, a couple of plots near me are a little bit overgrown, and I knew that there would be weeds in the air and I didn't want
Do
them.
you mean seeds?
Weed seed heads, yes.
Not weeds in the air. That's me throwing them to you.
Weed seed heads in the air, and I didn't want them to settle. And I've got quite a big plot, and I wanted to be able to counteract that problem. But also, I mean, it's laughable now, really, but it also acts as a mulch. So not only does it stop the weeds settling, it also retains the moisture. So, and I thought that was quite important because in the summer we do a lot of watering, and I thought that'll save me time. So I was thinking about it, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to give it a go and invest in some bags. And can I just say, Elaine, I am really impressed.
I am. I've been watching what you've been doing, and we've used them on the community plot as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's, I think, something that is useful.
Yeah.
It smells beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing that more people like us need to be using and telling others about.
Yeah. So it's mineralised straw.
Yeah, so it's bits of straw.
Yeah.
Chopped up, sort of, isn't
Yeah.
it? That you were using in your hand.
Yeah, it's dead lightweight. You told me it smells nice.
It's
I can't
beautiful.
smell it.
Yeah. It smells like sweet hay.
Right, it's mineralised wheat straw, and it's got some added nutrients, pH neutral, so it's not going to change the kind of
soil.
Yeah. And it's got a deterrent in it for the slugs and snails. Now, they won't like climbing over the straw anyway, but it does all these things. So not only is it a mulch, so it retains the moisture, it also suppresses any weeds that are in the atmosphere, so any seeds that are blowing in the atmosphere. It won't stop your perennial weeds coming through, but just like any other mulch, it will actually weaken them because, of course, they've got to come up and through there. So just keep pulling them. And it's got the deterrent in it for slugs, so they won't go for the plants. And you can dig it in, and it will add structure eventually to the soil,
which makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, you used them under the raspberries on the community plot when we were working there, and it looked lovely. It looked neat and tidy after you'd weeded it, and then you've just piled it all over where the roots are. So we know that it's not going to harm the roots. It's not muck, it's not manure, so the weeds aren't going to grow out of that. And generally, Julia, it looked really neat and tidy.
It looks neat and tidy, and I've also used it under the strawberries as well. So I've used it around all the flowers that I've got on the plots as the mulch. That was my intention, but also as a weed suppressant. Brilliant job, tick. Really happy with that. No slug damage. On the strawberries, I mean, the only thing that the strawberries have had this year are we put nematodes down early in the year, and then we've used the strultch afterwards. I have had no slug damage. The strawberries have been coming out beautiful and clean, and actually they've come out much bigger than I've had previously. Now, whether that's the strultch, I know that they've enjoyed the moisture, but I'm converted, Elaine.
Well, I think it is one of those things that I've seen it working, and for me it does work. So when we know that something works like that, let's get the message out there.
And it's also lightweight to carry, so if you had it delivered to your plot and you carried it down, I could carry 2 bags quite easily.
Oh, look at you.
I know.
Weightlifter.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Well, this is exciting, isn't it, Elaine?
Always is when she turns up.
Well, it's always lively when she turns up, isn't it?
I'm not sure if lively's the word. When people actually disappear, Julia, for fear of being accosted by you, that's always a bit of a worry.
Anyway, we've got our friend Tina Green from GreenBlooms International Floral Designs, because she has been on her international travels, hasn't she, recently?
She has. In fact, it's fair to say, Tina, you've never been here for a few months, have you?
Not really, ladies, and by the way, good morning. Lovely to see you both, and I have missed you both, and obviously our beautiful Gareth. You know, I sort of always miss sort of winding him up, don't I? So sorry, Gareth. Yes, I have been away a little bit this year. We've got lots to celebrate with GreenBlooms, but what I want to say for tax purposes is that I've been working throughout all of these holidays.
Have you been sourcing lots of interesting flowers?
Absolutely. It's all about the networking of the people, darling. Sourcing different tropical flowers. Yes, so I have, in all honesty, I have had a few holidays this year, but I'd like you to know that I am back for the next 8 weeks.
Right. Is that just daily a time, Elaine?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fallen perfectly for you, darling. Got a few more weddings on, so I thought I'd probably best be here for them as well. And obviously I've missed you too terribly.
Oh.
Well done. Did you pay her for saying that? No.
Just made her a cup of tea, that's all.
That's not a bad thing. We like that.
You promised me cake. Hang on.
It's Gary
sorted that.
Off.
Yeah.
Set him off. Now we can say what he liked. Now he's not here.
Excellent.
He's gone in. He's searching for him. He's well trained, really.
Bless his heart.
Well, we were going to talk to you about flowers, actually, Tina. It's your thing, isn't it?
Which is a bonus, yeah.
Yes, we know you know about them. But I tell you what, it's the price of them. I've noticed, even the ones that have been grown in this country, they have shot up in price. What's that all about?
Yep, you're absolutely right, Elaine. And certainly for us mere little florists, it's been quite a hit, and it's mainly to do with the weather. The rain everywhere across the world has been pretty phenomenal. So my regular wholesalers, J. Van Vliet, they have put out a bit of a warning, and literally every couple of weeks, these past few weeks, all to do with the rain. Usually what would happen, they would obviously grow loads and loads of flowers, then be able to store them, and certainly peonies have been hit massively this year. They have it's a short season anyway for peonies, sort of 6 to 8 weeks tops, but if I say this has been the shortest I've ever known it, we've only really had top quality peonies for a good 3 weeks tops, and so we've literally been told we're having to manage our brides. Ranunculus, another one. They're just not holding up, and the Holland summer flowers aren't holding up very well either. Again, and you two will know, due to the rain, certain flowers are just not liking being waterlogged at all. For me at the moment, it's just about managing expectations with brides. It's very difficult when we're doing quotations years and years in advance. We don't know what can come, and it was all the same with COVID as well. So as a business, we take that hit, because I can't turn up to a bride the week before and say it's another £400. It doesn't work like that. So it's all about, for me as the business, is managing that, and fingers crossed, things get sorted for the next few years. But who knows with climate change
I was deadheading yesterday on the roses, and we've got the rain has attacked them, and of course you get the rain ball, so then they don't open because they're stuck. And I just feel really sorry for people, because if they have got a wedding or a big occasion and you were growing them for that occasion, you'd be gutted. And the zinnias, Julia, I was looking at them this morning.
I was wondering if we should,
about 8 inches.
I was wondering again if we could resow them, because mine are dreadful, but there are some things that are actually loving it. As we've mentioned before, the astrantias seem to really love this weather. So we've got plenty of them, Tina, if you need them.
Wonderful,
and,
always.
But Cosmos has gone mad.
Cosmos is doing very
all
well.
Varieties.
Looking beautiful here, ladies. Really,
and what about your snapdragons, Julia?
Tina's already had a look at them, and I'm quite proud of them. I mean, to be honest, I stepped them off in the polytunnel as a bit of an experiment to see how they grew because it was the first year I'd grown the really tall ones, so I wanted to see, by pinching out the heads, how they grew differently to the ones that I didn't. And it's been quite an experiment, but I can promise Tina lots of snapdragons.
They are looking absolutely stunning. I've got to say, my eyes lit up the minute I saw them, because for me, in my business, I will use them a lot, and I use them daily, whether in a normal aqua presentation box, but within bridal bouquets. They are just amazing, and the colours as well. The colour variety is just there, and I'm just looking at the burgundy now, and it really, they're just so beautiful. Well done. Bravo, Julia. Well done, Julia.
Thank
Bravo,
you.
darling.
Well done.
New experiment.
I'll tell you what, though. I took some of yours home. Do you remember you gave me a little bouquet?
Yeah.
And I was quite surprised, really, that the snapdragons, they stood erect, obviously, for round about 4 or 5 days. I never changed the water or nothing. I just left them in the cool. They weren't in the sunshine. So that's good value for money. I mean, they cost me nothing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But they were really excellent.
Really, really important with snapdragons is that they will often come in towards, if they're coming from abroad, with a very, very droopy head.
Oh.
And nobody likes a droopy head, darling, do they? So aside from popping a blue pill in the water, and there is something that you can do if you do have snapdragons and you want to keep them upright.
Oh, what's that?
So if you cut the bums
Yeah.
on a nice angle, so
Yeah.
by cutting on an angle, it opens up the amount of water that goes up.
Yeah.
And then what you do, you just wrap them in some paper. So just wrap them in some paper, which will naturally keep them upright. Leave them in water 24 hours, and you'll come, and that wrecked little babies will be there and waiting for you.
Oh,
Hints and tips, all free from Tina.
Absolutely.
Great.
That's the one then, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Have you got any brown paper? Just asking.
Yeah, well, on me. Yes, probably not right now, but I've got plenty back at the workshop, darlings. But yeah, anything, just like craft paper, anything like that. Oh, it doesn't even have to be brown, does it? Let's be honest, you probably won't get away with toilet paper. It won't be hardy enough. But any sort of stiff paper. Oh, we're going to the stiff now. And so, but yes, anything that's nice and stiff to hold it upright. You've already cleaned all your stems anyway. You've cut your bums. 24 hours, and it will. The water will naturally hydrate them upright. That's where they'll go. If you leave them droopy, the water will just follow the line. So you put them upright.
We'll do that
That's
then.
a top tip.
Yeah,
isn't it?
top
That's worth
tip-ish.
knowing. That's worth knowing. And also, I mean, like you say, I didn't realise the problem was quite as worldwide as it is in affecting the flowers that you've been buying. And I mean, we lost a lot of dahlias at the start of the season, but the good news is we bought loads of new ones.
I'm so excited! Oh my gosh!
Does it made a difference with coming out of the EU and all that malarkey?
I have no doubt. Don't get my husband started about Brexit,
right.
please.
No.
It's not something we can discuss in our house. I think it's the only time he's had crosswords with his own dad.
Oh dear! Oh no!
So
Don't keep politics out of it.
Keep that out of it. But yeah, without a doubt, and I think anyone that is buying food knows the cost of food is up there. Any sort of fresh produce that we aren't growing in this country, we are getting hammered for, I'm afraid. And I'll be really truthful about this. And I have had a few holidays this year, as we've already mentioned.
We've had a lot of postcards, haven't we?
That's right. Postcards from here. What I will say is that I genuinely don't believe that some of the food that we actually get sent from abroad is that good either. You go and have a tomato in Spain, it tastes different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you guys grow it here and this is how it should be, but when we're importing stuff that we can actually do ourselves, what do we expect? We're paying 3 times as much for much inferior quality, in my opinion. So certainly for me, working with you guys, certainly throughout the summer and even further with the polytunnels of Julia's, it's so much better for me, better for the environment, better for costing, better for business, buy, grow locally, for everything as we possibly can.
Yeah.
When I'm Minister for Allotments...
Oh yeah, do you know about her campaign?
No.
Oh, she's standing for election.
Are you, darling?
Yeah. Well, I think it's the gap in the market, isn't
I
it?
agree.
And the size I am, I can fill it. So what I thought is, Tina, with your mouth full of tea, spat it all over.
That nearly came through my nose.
I thought that we could just encourage more people who have got gardens and allotments just to grow a few more flowers for themselves. And I'll tell you why. Because when you walk up somebody's path with a bouquet of flowers, however they might have been cobbled together, everybody's really happy and a smiley face. When you take them the 3rd bag of runner beans, they tend to lock the door. So what I'm saying is, it's good for everybody. It's a feel-good factor, isn't it?
100%, and I've got to be honest, it is my favourite part of the day, is the deliveries. There is never ever, and I will say this hand on heart, in the 8 years I've been running the business, there's never anyone that's not happy to see me, and exactly, that's right. Well, until I go home and I see my husband, that face drops a bit. But, only joking, Mr. G. So it's a joy. It's a joy. Flowers are a joy. They're a gift, and they're they're that linked to nature as well. And certainly if someone's unwell, can't leave the house, the fragrance, everything about it, the colours, everything, it's that linked to nature, and it just reminds people that actually this too shall pass, and you will get through this, and you will get out and about again. And certainly the get well soon ones, all the sympathy bouquets are very much my favourite ones, because it's a reminder for people that life will get better.
And it's certainly got better today, because we've had Tina from GreenBlooms.
It don't get any better when Tina comes, does it?
I don't know, I think
How much are you paying me later?
I was going to say
How much did we agree to?
Thanks for coming in, Tina.
Lovely to see you all.
Can we search you before you leave?
Absolutely.
No doubt you'll nick the flowers.
You'll find the odd snapdragon, an erect one hidden somewhere.
Help yourself. So thanks again to everybody for listening. And if you can hear that slight hum in the background, that is one of the battery operated pumps that people have on site, because we have no running water on our site, but we do have wells on about half the plots. And in the past, people have used the hand pumps, which are fine, and some people have kept with them. But if you've got a big plot, and it's something that we started doing, and we seem to have set a trend over the site, using the well pump when it was in the hot conditions, when we were in about 40 degrees to get the water up. Oh, it was exhausting, wasn't it? So we went down the route of battery operated pump, and now they're all the rage on site, and I tell you, it's been life changing.
It has, but I think as well, Julie, as you get older, what you could do is pop it into and around the the big barrels of water that we collect. That's again much easier just to do that, and then it just does all the greenhouses. That's what we do.
We attach it to a hose pipe and off we go, and we're allowed to do it because we're not paying for the water, we're extracting it from the ground or collecting it. Brilliant. Anyway, next week we're going to talk again, are we?
Well, it's what we do, isn't it, really?
So shall we fill some gaps?
And I think it's time now, because the warmer months will still be with us, and I think it's quite amazing, really, that so many people think that that's the end of it.
No,
it's not the end of it. Although the greenhouses are full, we've still got gaps, and we will be taking and making more gaps, won't we? So let's do it.
And also we'll be picking and podding and looking at the fruit trees.
Definitely. And don't forget, in a short while we'll be taking them taters out first early, so they can come out.
Lovely.
Okay.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters is an Amberland Media production.